see a bunch of shaloms and shalom. I see better. Okay, Bishop. All right, so all right, well let's get started, family. I guess if the audio isn't too clean, I can always go back and clean it up. All right, much better. All right, well, hey family, shalom. Well, this is an informational about the tours that we have coming up. That's part of the African Israelite Justice Foundation conference that's in Savannah, Georgia. This is Savannah, Georgia, June the 27th through the 29th. That's June the 27th through the 29th. And let me tell you, family, this thing is going to be epic. Now, if you were able to attend last year's conference, so last year's conference, we had it in November, and we also had that in Charleston, South Carolina. And we were blessed to be able to partner with my brother Godfrey. Big shout out to Brother Godfrey with Gullah Geechee Tours in Charleston, South Carolina. And still to this day, family, if you plan on going to Charleston anytime soon, please make sure you book a tour with Brother Godfrey's Gullah Geechee Tour, like the authentic Gullah Geechee Tour. He teaches that we are the people of the book. Hallelujah. And of course, unfortunately, the powers to be in Charleston are trying to freeze Brother Godfrey out of the industry. But family, if you go up there, make sure you support him and you won't be disappointed. But like I said, family, last year we were blessed to be able to partner with Brother Godfrey and his company and provided an epic tour in Charleston, South Carolina. We had the epic blowing of the shofar 7 times on the steps of the where the slaves were sold in Charleston. That was epic. And you could tell that the principalities in that city, in that town, I mean, probably in the whole region they were shifted, they were changed. So much so that after we blew the shofar, and actually, let's see, when did we do that? We did that on, I believe we did that on Shabbat. Oh yeah, I want to say that was done. Well, after Shabbat, I believe that was done after Shabbat. Miss Peacock can keep me honest here. But the earlier that day there was a tidal wave, that almost washed out our Shabbat service. But shout out to Pastor Kelly Richardson. He came on the scene and he gave an outstanding and awesome lesson that Shabbat, and then that led into the events that unfolded downtown in Charleston, South Carolina. So that was that, family. So if you were unable to attend that event, well, hey, you're in luck. We have another epic event lined up for you. This time it's in Savannah, Georgia. And with this go round, we're not able to partner with Brother Godfrey. However, we gonna take care of your family. However, this go around, we were also blessed to be able to partner with Underground Tours of Savannah, aka Sister Pat, aka, and you can see it on the screen. This is Underground Tours of Savannah, and this is their site. And I'm going to kind of walk through this a little bit and show you a little bit of her background, and actually introduce Sister Pat to you, because a lot of people don't know about Sister Pat in Savannah, the way that we know about Brother Godfrey over in Charleston, South Carolina. And Sister Pat is just as well known. She's very well known in the circles. She's actually an advocate, a civil rights advocate in Charleston, South Carolina. And she's kind of made her rounds on some of the on mainstream, right? If you don't know, in Savannah, Georgia, that's where the TV series Walking Dead is filmed, in Savannah. And there was a brother by the name of Coleman Domingo, Coleman Domingo, and he's with he's part of the Walking Dead cast. I'm not sure. I think he might even be a director. But what he did, family, and this is part of the AMC family of films. And so what they did was that they actually did a segment on Sister Pat, Sister Pat. And as you can see, Sister Pat, she's a master Gullah Geechee truth teller. And there's a difference between a truth teller and a storyteller. And Sister Pat is actually going to tell you here in a minute what a truth teller is, right? But with all that being said, family, what I'd like to do before we get into the actual tour information, I want to introduce you to Sister Pat, just so that you can see that being able to partner with Sister Pat and the underground tours of Savannah, family, this is like next level stuff that we're getting ready to partake in Savannah, Georgia. But check this out, family. Let me play a clip of Sister Pat, and let me pull this up here. One second. So we will do.
These trees were here during the time of enslavement. We say if these trees could talk, they would tell their own story.
This is Pat Gillard Gunn, or lovingly called Sister Pat. She's a proud descendant of the Gullah Geechee people and founded a number of initiatives in Savannah that focus on social justice, reconciliation, healing, and Black joy.
It's a good song.
This is Wormslow Historic Site.
She just started humming, you know?
Yeah. To put it bluntly, it's a plantation. It's also a location for Fear the Walking Dead. Today, I've come here to work out my own traumas of the past. It might not always be conscious, but the experiences from those that lived here have trickled down to all of us. It's a part of history that Americans choose to bury instead of examine. This is maybe my third plantation I've been on, or form of plantation, where I always feel like when you're here, you're like, Wormslow's beautiful. You come in, all those oak trees.
The avenue, yes.
The avenue. But then like you get here and you feel, I don't know which way is which. Is that by design?
That is by design. Plus, if you drive through this plantation, it takes approximately 12 minutes at a medium speed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how difficult it was for an enslaved person to run away?
And so it's by design?
It's by design.
I thought so.
The fact of the matter is that we are walking on sacred grounds because our ancestors were here, and you're kind of retracing their steps and telling their story. Can't you feel the ancestors all around you? Can't you feel it?
I do, and I think maybe that's what the thing is, maybe kind of scary to me.
Yes.
Where I don't know where to put that feeling.
Try not to dwell on the pain and agony as you're doing your work. If you want to heal from the atrocities of enslavement,
come on,
you got to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I tell folks that walk with me, if at any time I share anything that is too difficult for you, just begin to say, Ashe. It kind of soothes you as you're saying it. So, Ashe, Ashe. And you begin to kind of feel a little bit of relief because you're thinking, all will be well. We're here now. This is the 21st century, and our ancestors have paid the dues for us. All will be well.
All will be well.
All will be well. They did that. They did that. No, they did that.
They did that.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
So where are we here? Are we overlooking?
We're overlooking the marsh where they grow rice. And the marsh goes into the river, and the river flows into the Atlantic Ocean, where we come in by way of the transatlantic slave trade, right in here. That's why it's so sacred between the marsh and the trees. These are all things that tell stories, just sitting here and reflecting. They tell their own story.
I have been in the state of Georgia for mostly a year shooting. I shot The Color Purple. I shot Fear the Walking Dead here.
Yes.
And so I find that there's a calling, something calling me here.
It is. I'm telling you, you have been chosen as a vessel by the ancestors to represent. You are a vessel, and you are a storyteller.
Well,
you're going to tell stories, and then when you get about 60 or so, you're going to be a truth teller. Right now, you got to tell a story.
I hear you. I feel like I'm getting close to, already I'm 53. I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to the truth tales.
Something magical happens when you get 60. Let me tell you what happens.
What happens?
When you turn 60, you just say no. When someone asks you whether you want to do something, you say no, and you don't give any explanation. You just no.
Just no.
And you feel confident.
You're right. I feel like I still have to explain. No, but.
No. When you get 60, it's just no. I'm telling you the truth, you know. It's like I just say no.
And it's that simple.
That's it. I'm a truth teller now. because I don't have time to tell stories. Life is short.
My honor. Thank you so much.
I say.
All right. Well, hey, family. So that's just a little bit of Sister Pat, right? The Sister Pat with underground tours of Savannah. And let me tell you, family, so we are in for a treat. So if you are able to come down to Savannah, Georgia, join us in Savannah, Georgia, June the 27th through the 29th. And actually, let me pull up my browser here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. So let's do this. Let's do all right, so hopefully you can see that, family. So this is my browser. And this is, like I said, we were just reading a little bit about Sister Pat, or hearing a little bit about Sister Pat. And Underground Tours of Savannah, and as you can see, it says, we are the 21st century truth tellers, discover the journey from slavery to freedom. And this is one of the tours that she's going to offer with the, with partnership with the conference. So, there are two tours. One tour is a walking tour and one tour is a bus tour. And that was one of the lessons learned that we figured out from our last conference, is that, we now are very, we know which ones are the bus tours and which ones are the walking tours. So this one, this particular walking tour is going to be a tour that's going to be given on Friday. So for those that are able to get in town on Friday, Sister Pat is in her team, they're going to give this walking tour. It's probably it's can be like a close to a 2-hour tour, but you can see it here. Actually, let's read a little bit about it. Let's scroll down just a little bit, family. But you can see it says sharing our stories, honoring our ancestors, for Sister Pat Gullah Geechee, truth teller and CEO. And it says, for centuries our ancestors' voices were silenced. It says, there are truths buried in the soil of America's history, but we are the truth tellers. We know the truth of the history of the journey from slavery to freedom, from the transatlantic slave trade. And you can just imagine how important that comment is today, family, especially with all these executive orders coming out, the dismantling of the Department of Education, the whitewashing or the erasure of history today. They're trying to actually get rid of certain things, even in the Smithsonian. I'm pretty sure you guys have probably heard it by now, but that they, the African American Museum, the Smithsonian, they're trying to, or they are removing things from history from the Smithsonian, right? Try to erase our history, believe it or not. And that's why, anytime we can go back and, highlight, reflect on our true history, family, that's important. I think, just from a personal note, I think that as time goes on, you're going to see how important history is, our history is. They're going to try to remove things from our history, but it's going to be up to us, family, to make sure that we teach that to our families. And so to that end, family, you can see here, so Sister Pat, she's been, her and her team, they've been voted top 10 things to do in Savannah. Out of the many, many things to do in Savannah, she's been voted the top 10 things to do. And that's in the USA Today Travel Magazine, and the front cover of, I guess that's going to do Condé. Not, it sounds like nasty, right? Travel Magazine. We'll just say the Travel Magazine. But hey, check out this tour, family. It says featured tour, Slaves in the City. And it says, step back in time and walk the streets of Savannah where slaves once toiled. Dream of freedom, and shape the history of the city. From 1748 to 1864, our tour takes you deep into the mountains, heart of America's untold histories. From famous faces to cast members of The Walking Dead. Let's see here. And it says, over the years, we've had some of the most famous faces join the underground tours of Savannah. From big time stars to the cast of The Walking Dead, folks come to hear the truths we tell and walk in the footsteps of history. It says celebrity approved. All right, I'm trying to get down to the tour. Here we go. Here's the tour. It says, our signature tour, and it says our signature walking tour. It says 2-hour walk. 2-hour walk. This is what I'm talking about. So this is the tour that's going to be available on Friday, right? So as people come in on Friday, if you're there early enough, on Friday we have two things on Friday. One is the tour. So this tour will be around, we're guessing, we'll give you the timeline for sure the closer we get to the conference. But right now it looks like this tour was going to start off right around 3 p.m. And the reason why it has to start at 3 p.m. because this is going to be a 2-hour tour. And then we have a meet and greet at the Vintage downtown Savannah at 6 o'clock. So tours at 3 o'clock, meet and greet, with light food, light beverages, downtown Savannah at the Vintage at 6 o'clock. So those are the events for Friday. But let's just finish up just reading about this tour, family. It says step back into the antebellum circa with our signature tour, Slaves in the City, led by master Gullah Geechee truth tellers and enslaved reenactors. And that's one thing also unique about her tours, family, is that they also do reenactments at various locations. Like I believe they do a reenactment at the dungeon and maybe a reenactment at the waterfront. So that's one of the things that's awesome about their team. And let's just go ahead and finish this one out. It just says, let me just start back. It says, step back into the antebellum circa with our signature tour, Slaves in the City, led by master Gullah Geechee truth tellers and enslaved reenactors. This tour takes you on a journey like no other. From slavery to freedom, walk the very steps our ancestors in downtown Savannah. And it says what you'll experience. And it says, this is the real history of urban slavery. We retrace the steps from the slave ships disembarkation to the last stop, the slave auction block in Savannah's public squares. This tour is a homage to the millions of Africans who made the herring trek to America on the transatlantic slave trade. So basically, family, what this tour does is that it's going to start at the Savannah River. And this is going to, what you're going to do is you're going to follow the footsteps of the slaves that were, they were on those slave ships. The slave ship would come up the Savannah River, the walkways would open up, the slaves would come out, right, and they would disembark on the shores. And what you're going to do, family, is that you're going to follow the same footsteps, as the slaves, our brothers and sisters who were in chains, in necks and feet and arms and all that stuff, and you're going to follow their footsteps all the way to the square to where they were auctioned off. It's going to be a powerful, family. So this is the tour on Friday, right? On that Friday. Now, normally, as you can see, the normal price for this tour is $65, but because we have a group rate, it is $40. So this tour, and of course, all the tours, family, on the conference, they're optional. So you don't necessarily have to sign up for each and every tour, but definitely if you want to learn more about the history, learn more about Savannah, take advantage of learning from the Gullah Geechee master truth teller, Sister Pat. Definitely sign up if you can. But this is the tour that is on Friday, right? And so as you can see, walking tours, how to book, all right. And I'll show you how to book the tour here in a moment. But just for FYI, what I'll do is I'm going to go back over to the website. So this is how you would actually sign up. So you would go over to IsraeliteJustice.org, and that's what you see here on the screen. Actually, let me copy. I'll put this in the chat. I'll actually pin this to the video. But it's IsraeliteJustice.org. Once you go to the website, you click on events. And then once you click on events, it's going to take you to the Savannah Conference events page. And then from here, this is where you just have to remember to scroll down. And so let's see here, it says, Savannah, 2025. conference. Just keep scrolling down until you see where it says weekend schedule. So again, this is what I just, was referring to. You'll see where it says Friday, June the 27th, Slaves in the City tour. It says 90 minutes to 120 minutes walking tour, $40. All right. And so that is with Sister Pat and her team. And you can see I just did screenshots of various, pictures of when she did tours in the past. And then Friday at 6 p.m., this is a picture of the Vintage. And so we're going to be meeting here, do a meet and greet, serve, like I said, light food, beverages, just to meet everyone that's in town. Hopefully you all are able to swing by and we can fellowship a little bit before we get started on our Shabbat the next day. All right. So that is Friday, right? So then comes Shabbat day. Now, Shabbat day, we do have a surprise for you. Now, when we did our tour, when we did the conference in Charleston, South Carolina, we were again blessed to be able to have our Shabbat service on the river. I'm trying to remember the name of the river, something like Shelby River, something like that. But we actually had it on the river. Now, that was I won't say a curse, a blessing and a curse, but because what happens is that when we woke up early that Saturday morning and then went down to the park that was right on the river, the park was flooded out because they said there was some sort of tidal wave or something like that. We kind of chalked it up to the powers that be didn't want us out there praising Yahuwah and blowing the shofar. But either way, you know how Israel, we the people of Israel are. It didn't matter that it was flooded. At least the road to it was flooded. We drove through it anyway. Everyone got there safely, and we had an awesome Shabbat service. And shout out to Pastor Kelly for that, because Pastor Kelly held it down at the service. So that was, in Charleston. And so again, we wanted to, replicate that here in Savannah. So early in the morning, what we will do, and this is pending approvals. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you exactly where we're talking about. So hopefully, again, you can see my screen. This is a map of Georgia, right? I'm zooming out. So U.S., right? And so I'm going to zoom into Savannah. All right. And so most of the activities is going to take place here downtown in Savannah. But on Shabbat morning, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Tybee Island. So Tybee Island, from what I remember, because me and my family, we used to make this drive from Savannah to Tybee. I want to say it's about 20 minutes, 20 minutes or so from Savannah to Tybee. And then once you get to the island, what we're going to do is we're going to have Shabbat service on Tybee Island. So praise be to the Most High. All of our approvals go through, but this is the location of Shabbat service. So what we'll do, family, because, these facilities are outside and, we both know that it can get hot in Savannah, right? So what we're going to do, or what we're planning to do, family, is have Shabbat service early in the morning. So we want to probably like around 9 a.m., have a 9 a.m. service. Service will last about approximately 2 hours. Give you a chance to, praise and worship. I call it our family reunion location. So we're going to have a mini family reunion on Shabbat. Praise and worship the Most High, fellowship a little bit, right? Even, take some pictures at the beach. Blow the shofar. I think that'll be important for us, family, to blow the shofar on the shores, where our forefathers came in, right? Because they came in and, landed on these shores. So we're going to blow the shofar, Most High willing, and we're going to cry out to the Most High. Hallelujah. Call out to the Most High, face towards Jerusalem. So that is the plan. So that will be early Saturday morning. We will be on Tybee Island. All right. Then after Tybee Island, we will, of course, you want to eat, because if you're there early in the morning time, around noontime, you'll want to eat, grab something to eat. Now I'm going to go over the food here in a moment. As far as, we hooked you up with food again, right? We got some food. And this is, you can actually thank Sister Pat for this, because Sister Pat was like, I'm going to get you the best Gullah Geechee cookers in Savannah. She's like, these are top-notch 100 proof meals that you're gonna get from these people. And basically, just to kind of reiterate what she told me. She basically told me like this, family. She said, these people, the people I'm recommending, she said, not only are they good on Friday, but they're good on Monday. She was like, you know what I'm trying to say, right? I was like, oh, okay. I got you, Sister Pat. I was like, I understand. You trying to say they're good all the time, right? She was like, they're good all the time. So this is, I'm actually going to hold. So she gave us two places. I'm gonna hold on to one of those places until we, for the people that get there. One of the places I'll reveal now, at least when we get to the food part, and the other place I'm gonna wait until we get there, right? Because we just I want you to be surprised. But just know that these are some highly recommended, highly taste tested. I guess on one of these, what we'll do is that we'll look at the reviews for one of these, and you'll see that the reviews are like just 5-star, like however many stars you can get. When you look at the reviews, that's what it is. They get that, right? So anyway, but all right, let me back up to the actual agenda. So the schedule for Shabbat, early morning Shabbat service on Tybee Island. After that, grab something to eat, maybe at one of these, grab something to eat. We'll just say that, grab something to eat on Shabbat day around noontime. And then after that, after you get something to eat, we're going to go back to downtown Savannah. And downtown Savannah, we're going to go back downtown Savannah to First African Baptist Church. And shout out to Bishop, because me and Bishop, we know about some First African Baptist Church. This is where our forefathers were, right? They were part of that first church. Basically, if you don't know about First African Baptist Church, first, what we call, I'm doing air quotes here, but African American church in the U.S. Of course, depending on who you Google, there'll be some debates between churches that say, no, I was first, and First African Baptist say, no, we were first. So there's that whole back and forth. But we adhere to First African Baptist Church. They were the first. And based off of the church's own history document that was created by a church pastor himself, by the deacon himself. I want to say it was either Andrew Marshall or E.J. Love. It was E.K. Love DD, I think is his name. But he was also a pastor at First African Baptist Church. And he wrote about the history of his own church. And in his history book, he referred to the pastors and the people as Israel. So that's important, family, because the First Baptist Church, the Black Baptist Church in this country, the people believed and knew that they were Israel. And this is why we see the Hebrew written on the pews. So most high willing, we will be there. We will also do some more reviews of the pews. And shout out to Bishop and Boom Church. And prayerfully, they'll be in the building, and we will take a look at that, and we will do some lives from there. I pray prayerfully that we will do some lives from the church, from the pews, and we will show you what's really going on. We'll put it to you that way. All right, but that's our next stop on Shabbat. Next stop on Shabbat is First African Baptist Church. And I believe the tour at the church, we're going to be there for about an hour and a half to about 2 hours, kind of depending on how things go. But this is going to start at 1 p.m. on Shabbat day, right? And so after that, so we're going to be there. We'll just say from 1 to 3. After that, this is when the underground tours of Savannah comes back into the picture. So this is going to be during the daytime, and it's going to be hot, but we're going to keep you cool, because underground tours of Savannah, we got a tour bus. Let me say that again. We have a tour bus for you. So again, this is another tour that they're offering. Now, this tour is a different tour. This is a tour of the city of Savannah. And of course, what she's going to do, she's going to take you to the various places that are key milestones, cornerstones in African American history, in the slavery and stuff like that. And let me see here. I believe we actually have a brief write-up of that on the webpage. So on the webpage, if we go down, let's go to, on Saturday. This is this tour right here, Saturday, Savannah. It's called, Slavery to Freedom Tour. It's 2.5 to 3 hours. Again, this tour is $40. This is a discounted rate. So shout out to Sister Pat for that, for working that out with us, because this is actually going to be on one of those tour buses. And let me tell you, Sister Pat, they get into the details. I mean, she's even making sure that the route of the bus, like there's enough clearance wherever the bus goes. So she's checking different things. We were just talking about one of the stops that we just added, that she would just added to the tour, no extra cost, no nothing. This is Sister Pat just working with us, and Sister Pat and her team wanted to make sure that this is like going to be one of the best tours that you've been on, period, hands down, right? So let's just read just a little bit about what this tour is, and I think I grabbed this from Sister Pat's literature, but it says, join us on a profound exploration of our city's historic landmarks and untold truths about the journey from slavery to freedom of enslaved West Africans that arrived in Savannah, Georgia in 1748 by way of the transatlantic slave trade. Master Gullah Geechee truth teller Sister Pat is the tour conductor. She and her team of reenactors, so again, family, throughout this tour, there will be reenactments in this tour. And it says, reenactors trace the path of the shadows of urban and plantation slavery and guide you to the light of freedom by way of the Underground Railroad and the victory of the U.S. Union soldiers and their fight for freedom in the Civil War. This tour is a deep dive into the truth telling, reconciliation, healing, and reparations due in the 21st century. Sister Pat highlights the struggle, resilience, and enduring contributions of freed African Americans who fought for equality and justice. This is not just a history tour. It's a powerful exploration of the human spirit and perseverance. It says, we take you to the sites where the enslaved arrived, slave holding bins, a cotton exchange, life insurance sites, slave real estate closings, auction block, and final stop to Laurel Grove Cemetery. Whoa. If you haven't been to the Laurel Grove Cemetery, I believe this is the cemetery of some of the headstones are unmarked, where our forefathers were laid to rest. But it says, let's see, cemetery south to pay homage to these enslaved in unmarked graves. Now, so I will say that some of those graves aren't unmarked, and some of those names, I think I went there with my wife and family, and we looked up some of those names, and some of those names were Sephardic Israelite names. But hey, that's a video for another day. So, but all right, but that is the tour on Shabbat. So on Shabbat day, you can see, family, that is a action-packed day of learning. You can rest while you ride in the bus, right? And learn from about our history, learn about the path that our forefathers took, learn about the consequences of breaking, the Most High Abba's, commandments, breaking those, being under the curses. So, but that's Saturday. So just to reiterate, early in the morning, Tybee Island. After Tybee Island, First African Baptist Church, around a little bit after noon at 1 p.m. Then after First African Baptist Church, if you so choose to sign up for Sister Pat's 2-hour, 3-hour bus tour, that will, I believe, will disembark or leave at around 3 p.m. So in the way I think we were talking about with Sister Pat, we'll actually pick you up from the First African Baptist Church. I think that's where we'll have people load up from. So still kind of working out the logistics. We'll have to play around with it. The logistics bit us in the butt in Charleston, South Carolina. So we trying to do the best we can to learn from our learn lessons from our mistakes from last time. Just do better, because that's the whole point. Every single time we put these conferences on, family, we want to make sure that we kick it up a notch, raise the bar, just make sure that you just have a great, great, great time. All right. So we'll get to questions here in a moment, family, but I just wanted, like I say, briefly go over the agenda. All right. So that is Shabbat. All right. Tybee Island, First African Baptist Church, bus tour. And then on the conference day, now the conference is, again, that's going to be downtown Savannah at the, I think it's like the Dr. Priscilla Thomas Annex building. It's right next to, or it's a part of the Civil Rights Museum downtown. So we're going to be down there. I believe the start time is either going to be 10 or 11. I think it's going to be 10 a.m. And of course, that's going to be just the whole conference. Going to be there for maybe like 4 or 5 hours, but of course conference there, we're going to take care of you as far as food again, because last time we hooked you up with some gullah geechee. Just stay tuned for what we're going to hook you up with this go round. So either case, we'll have your food taken care of. Shout out to Brother Lorvins, Lutch, Yapa Q, Moray Asaph, hopefully and Zamar and Bishop. Who am I forgetting, Bishop? I know I'm forgetting somebody, but would say and more guests that'll be out there. So basically what we're going to do, family, the agenda that we have planned for the conference is of course opening. We're going to have an opening as far as the conference is concerned. We'll kind of roll that into lunch. And then, of course, with lunch, the way we did it last time, we'll also have a music concert. So we'll roll into our music concert. And then from our concert, then we'll get into the meat of the conference with, lessons and sessions and things like that. And we are aware that a lot of folks, usually leave on Sunday. So we'll try to make it, we'll try to make it so that you can leave in time to get on your flight and stuff like that. Right. So we're aware of that. But that is Sunday. And so that is what we have planned on the books. And of course, if there are any changes, like I said, just be flexible with us is what we ask for, family, because last time we did have we had a bunch of stuff just pop up, and that we were, forced to adjust on the fly. But, shout out to especially Moray Asaph, man. Him and his family. I mean, they were heaven sent, because when there was a snafu with the bus, the pickup location in Charleston, they actually blocked off the place where we were supposed to pick everybody up at, and so we couldn't get there. So there was this big mix up as far as being able to pick up people. And Brother Moray Asaph and his crew, they sat out there for a long time until we found them and picked them up, and then we took them to where we had to go. So again, shout out to Moray Asaph for that. Much love, peace and blessings to your family. All right, so that's the what we have on tap here, and what we will do is. I'm just going to show you one of the places. Actually, I'll go ahead and show you both places here, family. But so one of the places, the highly recommended places is Geneva's. So if you get in town in Savannah and you're looking for something to eat and you don't want to do fast food and you don't want to, you want to watch your carbs and get some home cooking, right? Now, of course, they got some unclean food on there. We're not promoting that, right? But they do have salmon and they do have chicken baked, and I guess they call it rotisserie. They call it roasted baby bird, right? So they got some food in there for you, and of course, everything that you're used to: greens, mashed potatoes, string beans, black-eyed peas, stewed cabbage. You know what I'm talking about, family. Sweet yams, baked squash, mac and cheese, broccoli. Apple slaw. Wait, what? I didn't see that. Broccoli apple slaw? I don't know nothing about that, family. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I'm most high willing. I'll be down there soon, because one of the things I do want to do, I do want to do a live from down there, and some of the locations, just so that you can see some of the locations for yourself. And that is it. Let me make sure we covered everything. And so let's see here. So that's the conference location. And of course you can get and buy your tickets or whatnot. So, and again, the tours are optional. You don't necessarily have to sign up for the tours. Although I do think what we'll do is that we'll do like a promotional so that, for those that are, we'll see. I'll put out a promotional. We'll, put it on this webpage, just to make it official. So instead of me just saying it, let me put it on the webpage first, and then we'll go from there. But again, so the tours are optional. The tour on Friday, the walking tour is about, again, 60 to 90 minutes. That's a $40 tour by Underground Tours of Savannah. The tour follows the path that the slaves took when they got off the ship as they disembarked the slave ships and went to the auctioning block at the square. And so that's a 90-minute tour, 60 to 90-minute tour. And then on Shabbat, there's two tours. There's the First African Baptist Church tour. Now that tour is $15. And then the other tour, which is the bus tour, the 3-hour tour, that one is also $40. And that's the tour that's going to take you, basically take you around Savannah. It's going to have different stops. You're going to get off and stuff like that. And be able to take a look at, art and stuff like that. I mean, Miss Pat, she's laying this thing out for you guys. So hopefully you're able to check it out. And, and that is that. Let me see if there's anything else. So, hey, family, any questions? I know as far as hotels, I don't have it on this website just yet. Most High willing, just give me a couple of days for that, family. Because one of the things, and let me show you this, family. I'm going to zoom out. So this is Savannah. And what you'll see, let me see, where's the airport? Where is it? Yeah, I want to say the airport is up north. Oh, here's the airport. Yeah. So there's the airport. So you can see this is the airport up here, and the actual, city is over here. So it's relatively close. And the reason why I bring that up is because, we're trying to get you a good price, for your hotels. So usually in my experience, family, usually the hotels like around or near the airport are of a high quality. The rooms are very clean, great service, great breakfast and low rates, right? Those combinations, you'll find that around here. So what we're doing, family, is that we're going to give you a choice. We're going to give you some hotels around the airport, and we're going to have a group rate for that. And again, you just have to figure out which one works best for you, because I think they were saying that this is probably, going from the hotels on this side of town to downtown Savannah might be about a 20-minute drive. Of course, on Friday, if you get there on Friday, keep in mind that there is rush hour. So, we can't control rush hour, right, family? So just know that if you're taking this route on Friday, it could be a long drive. So just keep that in mind. But in either case, if you do take advantage of the hotels by the airport, like I said, great price, clean hotels, 5-star, 4-star reviews, great service, that will be available for you. And also, we'll also have some hotel options for you downtown. Now, of course, when we talk about hotels downtown, those hotels will be a little bit more expensive, but again, you're paying for convenience, right? You're paying for being downtown, close to the sites that we'll see, and also the Savannah River. So, but I think that's about it. So any questions out there so far? Like I said, family, we'll just give me a couple of days just to get the hotel information out, loaded onto the site. And and I think that was the only thing that we had outstanding. I'll also share some more information about what the menu, potentially, menu would be for the conference. Because again, we want to have you full and happy, praising the Most High, full and happy, right? And learning at the same time. All right. So, all right. So any questions, family? Any questions? Let me just check the chat just to make sure. Didn't see any questions. So bear with me, family. Let's do. All right. So I don't see any questions. All right. All right. Well, hey, family, if you have any questions, just send it to events@israelitejustice.org. That's events@israelitejustice.org. And we'll get back with you as soon as possible. Whether it be for tickets or tours. Oh, and that's another thing too, family. We will give you a contact number for the tours. So that way, if you're running late, if you're, not too sure where to meet up, we will have the tour meetup locations to you. When you get there, we'll make sure you know where we are meeting. But in the event that you're still unsure, we also want to put a number in your hand so that you can call to say, hey, I'm over here at Johnson Square. Where you guys at? Right. So we can point you to the right direction. That was another lesson learned from last time. All right. So it says, are the tours wheelchair accessible? That's a good question. Well, we know that on the, you will be able to sit down on the bus. I will double check with Sister Pat. I'm pretty sure the tour on Friday is not. Well, let me before I say that, let me double check with Sister Pat, because that is a walking tour. So I guess as long as you have a wheelchair, you should be okay. But I'll double check with Sister Pat, because I think she says, you guys are going to cover probably like two city blocks or more in the walking tour as she goes. All right. Any other questions, family? Any other questions? All right. Well, hey, just make sure you go ahead and sign up when you can, family, especially with the the bus tours. If you guys are looking to do the bus tour, I would say, reserve that sooner rather than later, because what we're having to do is we're working with a third company for the buses. And so if it's just enough people for one bus, then, that's all we have to worry about. But if it's more people than the one bus can hold, then we have to reach back out to the bus company for another bus. So, in order for us to do that, we have to have people signing up for the tours ahead of time, right? It's just so that we don't have a rush of folks at the end, and then we're trying to scramble to get a bus, or maybe, hopefully we won't have to turn anybody away. But, just that the more time we have to get the buses squared away, family, the better. So definitely, if you're looking to do the bus tours, go ahead and do that. Sign up for it. That way we'll have your name and your head count accounted for, and we'll make sure we have a seat on the bus for you. All right, family. Well, hey, that's it. That's all we had. Again, I just wanted to introduce Sister Pat to you, because not a lot of folks know about Sister Pat. And actually, I guess as we close out, let me pull up or add a video from Sister Pat. So Sister Pat, she's been at this for a very, very long time. She's not only is she a historian, but she's an advocate, a civil rights advocate.
Yeah. Woo! I am Gullah Geechee. I am a fourth descendant of the enslaved Africans who came to the shores of Savannah in 1748. I was born on the coast of Georgia, and I'm known as a Gullah Geechee saltwater girl. I consider myself bilingual, speaking the Queen's English in professional environments, and my Gullah Geechee dialect among family and friends and audiences who want to learn my tongue.
Listen to my Gullah Geechee dialect. It is the language of my heart. Day clean means sunrise. Ona means you and me. Omen means woman. For true means really. And true dat to new generations means all right, all right, all right. I can still hear the sweet voice of my Auntie Ree. She would come into the day clean kitchen and she would begin to shout, Lord have mercy. God done clean the sky. One more again as he prepares us for another day. And then she would begin to sing her song. She would say, in the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, oh, I want to rise holy when I rise. I learned so many gifts that became tools to me from my Auntie Ree. She would say to me, child, always walk circumspect, cautious, watchful, discreet, but always be open to different circumstances. Those tools have taken me through decades on top of decades. She would say, there's some manners, child, but these new children don't understand. They have forgotten to say thank you when someone helps you. They have forgotten that you must say excuse me when you pass over someone else's path. Lord of mercy, I sure did get some lessons from Aunt Ree. I believe my first lesson in truth, however, came in my 4th grade elementary class. My teacher announced that the entire school was going to commemorate Christopher Columbus. And she said to me, you have long memory, so you will be given the opening speech. You have 2 weeks to learn that speech, and the program will begin. We're learning about Christopher Columbus, and the poem opened with, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. You know the poem. I had some concerns about the discovery. And so I asked my teacher, how can someone discover something that is already there? My teacher did not answer the question. I asked another teacher, and they didn't answer the question. And no one at my school in the 4th grade would answer my question. So, on the day of the school assembly, I had decided, although I'd learned the poem very well, I'm not going to recite this poem. I am going to launch a silent protest. So when the curtains open, OMG, I was silent. My teacher pulled me behind the curtains, and the class held their school assembly without me as the opening act. Well, the teacher took me to the principal, and the principal called my mama. You don't want to call a Gullah Geechee mama. My mama came to the school, and they began to tell her about my one student protest. My mother said to the principal, how much time are you suspending her? How many days? The principal said, suspending her? She is not suspended. She is expelled immediately. I believe that my first truth came when I was just an elementary student. I was simply seeking truth. I went to a department store with my mother. It was the 60s, and the 60s was a difficult time. It was a hot summer day, and my mother and I were shopping, and I began to get thirsty. I ventured away from my mother to get a sip of water. As I went toward the water fountains, there were two fountains in the 60s. One was a white basin that you could turn, little spindle, and stoop over, and it had a sign attached to the wall that said colored. There was another fountain that was stainless steel, and that fountain said whites only. That fountain looked very cooling to my soul, so I took a sip. And as I took a sip, 3 sales ladies came toward me shouting, "No, no, you cannot drink from that fountain." My mother began to come quickly to me and said, "Come on, child, let's go." That was my first experience with segregation. From time to time, I can still hear the sounds of those sales ladies saying, "No, no, no, you cannot drink the water," to this very day. I went to high school and college, and I landed smack in the middle of post-civil rights. We had rallies for voter registration. I remember going to Washington, D.C. for the national fight for the holiday for Dr. Martin Luther King and getting involved in presidential campaigns. I realized then that I was using all of my Auntie Ruth's tools for truth speaking. Lord of mercy. In 1985, I joined a statewide coalition in Georgia to fight for the elimination of the death penalty for disabled inmates. We had folks from all walks of life to join us, and we said that this law is immoral and unjust, and our truths won. In 1985, they no longer were able to execute mentally disabled citizens. I now have a new project. It's a mission work, you know. It's a work that talks about the enslaved Africans and their journey in Savannah from 1748 to 1864, 116 years of slavery. However, our beloved city has redacted, erased, expunged the story. It is time for a holistic history, y'all. We must tell the entire story, the good and the bad. 1619, enslaved Africans from West Africa hit the shores of America in Richmond, Virginia. We have women and children and men that worked from Kansas to Kansas, from sunrise to sunset in Savannah, Georgia. We need to commemorate and heal. It's time for markers. It's time for memorial parks. It's time for a timeline. That was 1619, and it's now 2019. That is 400 years, and that's the truth. Isn't it time to heal? Will you join me in our efforts to preserve the sacred places and spaces in Savannah where my ancestors dwelled? We are the ones who know the going-ons round, yeah. And we are the ones, the Gullah Geechee people, who could share the stories. Join we. Help us to reconcile and heal. It's time, y'all, for the healing. Ashe-o, Ashe-o, Ashe-o.
All right. Well, hey, that is Sister Pat. That's Sister Pat, Miss Gullah Geechee, the Gullah Geechee Master, Sister Pat. And remember, so in her company, we'll be giving the tours on Friday and on Saturday. So definitely, family, if you're able to take the tours, you will not regret it. They will be information-filled tours. But with that, family, I'll bid you shalom. Hope you. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to just send an email to events@israelitejustice.org. That's events@israelitejustice.org. I saw a question for brother. One of my brothers was asking about being able to switch a ticket, or switch the tour. Definitely, yeah, you can definitely switch a tour. Just like I said, just Casey, brother Casey. Yeah, or Casey, yeah, just send me send a ticket or email, which will create a ticket to events@israelitejustice.org. That's events@israelitejustice.org with your requests, so we can switch that ticket over for you, or that tour over for you. And then the other question that was out there was about handicaps accessible. I will confirm with Sister Pat. Just to and I will I'll do two things. I'll update the website, and then most I will, when we give our next update, I'll also give that on an update. So, all right, well, that's it, family. Again, don't want to keep it too late. It's already been over an hour, but hopefully that gives you a little bit more information as far as what we're going to do, what the plan is for the conference with the African Israelite Justice Foundation in Savannah, Georgia, June the 27th through the 29th. That's June the 27th through the 29th. Starting that Friday, going to start off with a walking tour with Sister Pat, and then that's going to roll into a meet and greet. Like I said, light beverages and meal on that Friday, and then on that Shabbat day, we're going to start our day at Tybee Island, most high willing, with the early morning Shabbat service on the beach. Oops, did I say the beach? We'll just say on Tybee Island. Let's just say that on Tybee Island. And then from there, of course, you'll eat lunch, and then we'll make our way over to First African Baptist Church for a 1 p.m. tour with Pastor Derek Curry. I think it's Curry or Carr. But Pastor Derek at First African Baptist Church, that'll be epic, family. And then after the tour of the church, then we'll also do, that'll roll into Sister Pat's tour at, we'll say 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. Tour. And that will last about 2.5 to 3 hours, various stops along the way. And again, you'll learn the history of Savannah. You'll learn the history of our forefathers in Savannah. And then, of course, on that Sunday, we'll have the conference. I believe we'll have a 10 a.m. start time for the conference. Welcome, opening statements, comments, and then we'll kind of roll into lunch, because that'll be around lunchtime. I guess we'll serve lunch at around 12 o'clock. We're going to take care of you with lunch. We took care of you last time, family. We're going to take care of you this time for lunch. And then most high willing, immediately after lunch, we'll roll into the concert, the music concert. Shout out to Aki Lorvins and fam. And then from the music concert, then we'll get into some of the sessions of the conference. So that's what we have planned. Of course, if you have any other requests or suggestions on how we can make it better, please feel free to email that as well, because we are flexible, and we want to make sure that this is the best experience that you will have in Savannah, being part of a tour. Just want to make sure that thoroughly enjoy yourself and that you learn a lot, and also that we get the fellowship and praise the Most High while we do it. All right. Hallelujah. All right, family. Well, peace and blessings, and we'll talk to you later. Shalom, shalom.